Welcome all to the June, hard to believe it's June, meeting of the Essential Support Worker Advisory Committee, otherwise known as the LD 898 Committee. And I'm Catherine Thibodeau. I am the vice chair of the committee. I represent IDD Services, Service Provider Association on the committee. And we will go ahead and get started, do introductions, and then as soon as Jess Maurer can join us, I will turn the reins of facilitation over to her. So why don't we go around and I'll just call your name. Mary Jane, would you like to give instructions?
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Richards McDade. I am the CEO for North Country Associates. We have nursing homes, assisted living, and we serve people with intermediate intellectual disabilities.
Great.
Glad to be here.
Thanks. Stephanie?
Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Hatcher. I am the representative on the committee for drug support professionals in the IDD profession specifically.
Perfect. Kim Moore?
Hi, I'm Kim Moore. I'm the director for the Bureau of Employment Services at the Maine Department of Labor. Hey, Jess, it's great to see you.
Hello, it's Jess.
Thank you. Great to be seen.
Jamie, do you want to go next?
Yes, that was funny. I was like, wait, I don't see Jess yet. I'm Jaime Spencer. I'm the Director of Workforce Initiatives with the Office of Aging and Disability Services.
Erica, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Erica Anderson, and I'm currently sitting in for Angie while she's out taking care of her beautiful new little baby. And I'm doing the staff role through this meeting and possibly September's meeting as well.
Great. Betsy?
Hi there, I'm Betsy Sawyer-Manter. I'm the CEO at Seniors Plus, and I'm representing the Service Coordination Agency. I had to stop for a minute and remember what a SCA was. So.
Michael?
Yes, good afternoon. Michael Smith with Catholic Charities Maine for this meeting, representing our independent support services, the Homemaker program that's statewide.
Great. And Jess, do you want to introduce yourself, and then I can throw it over to you if you're ready to take over the facilitation.
Sure. Hey, everybody. I'm Jess Maurer. I'm the Executive Director of the Maine Council on Aging and the Chair of the committee. And I'm so sorry about some technical difficulties. I had 4 links and none of them got me where I wanted to go. So thanks for your patience. And did you introduce yourself, Catherine? Perfect.
I did.
Great. And thank you for stepping in there for a moment. I think we always start with just a brief overview of the duties and powers of this committee, which is the Essential Support Workforce Advisory Committee. And our obligations are to collaborate with the Departments of Labor and Health and Human Services, state institutions of higher ed, and other programs to examine staffing level needs in the essential support workforce, including entities funded through the state and Maine Care. Also to make recommendations to state agencies and the legislature related to recruitment and retention of essential support workers, monitor essential support workforce shortages and the expansion of the essential support workforce to examine if actions taken to promote expansion in the essential support workforce have been successful, make recommendations to the Departments of Labor, Health and Human Services, and the legislature regarding other research that's needed, and collect data related to the essential support workforce. And then finally, examine the benefits cliff effects on essential support workers and recommend and develop a pilot project to mitigate benefit cliff effects on essential support workers. So that is our mission and charge. As we do always, I think just before we jump into our formal agenda, just to touch base with folks to just sort of see if anybody has any information they want to share, let us know how things are going, and at least anecdotally in relation to any services that you are providing, or any concerns you want to lift up. Just sort of like, as members of the committee, what are you experiencing currently?
Speak a little bit to the IDD industry. We underwent sections 21 and 29. I believe 18 and 20 also underwent a rate study last year, so spring of 2024. And so we kind of fell into that rate determination bucket. We were anticipating a cost of living increase in January 2025. That was not received, nor has there been movement on the rate study and the updating of the rates. So we are fairly behind in our rates, for lack of a better way to say that, without a COLA, without falling into the results of the rate study. Therefore, beginning to look and see that sort of A, wage compression impacting more, and B, just the impacts on that starting wage for direct support professionals. So that's where we're at right now.
I guess I'd chime in for us at the Homemaker program, be almost identical as Catherine in terms of the unfortunate not getting of the COLA, nor we had the rate study, and they had funds in line to get that for a couple of years now, and that funding note has actually now termed, and so they have no funding to do the rate study. So we're trying to find our way forward of the compressed wages and the rate not being enough to figure out next steps. So we're kind of in a limbo phase right now. But practically speaking, employment is maybe a titch up, so that's positive, I guess, in that respect. So we're hoping to continue to serve more by keeping things in line, like potential changes to minimum wage in Portland and the like, to try to stay, well, I'd say ahead, try to stay equal, try to stay not too far behind, I suppose, is maybe more realistic to make it work. But so looking for the silver linings when we can, for sure.
And Michael, not to put you on your spot, if
Yep.
you know the answer to the question, but what is your wait list currently? Do you know, or unserved?
Yeah, between the two, we're about 1,800 folks. It's really, and our numbers of people served continue to go down. It's sort of, like I said, there's devil in the details. So yes, we might gain a few homemakers or direct care staff workers, but they're taking on fewer consumers than the previous, workforce did. And, so that's been difficult. And we've also lost a lot of self-directs. That was big during COVID. And as those have moved on, so our numbers of people served continue to drop closer to 1,000 now. I mean, it's just, so we've got almost double people waiting for service than we are actually directly serving. Yeah. So those are some realities there.
Just for us, we're very similar to everyone else. We, are participating in the rate study for section 19 and 96. And I think there was a survey that was sent out to a lot of folks, including direct care agencies. And I'm not sure what the participation rate was. I don't think it was particularly good. It was a fairly complex survey, trying to get a lot of information from a lot of different people. And my understanding is that even when it's completed, there's likely to be no money to fund it. So sort of curious about these rate studies that go nowhere. And we have discontinued our participation in section 96 of the Maine Care program due to inadequate rates. We, lost hundreds of thousands of dollars for the last 20 years. And so the board has decided not to continue doing that. So As I understand it, there is a pause on enrollment in that program because they had to transfer so many cases that we had to other places. And there is a wait list for home-based support and services, which is formerly known as home-based care. So I think we're all sort of singing the same tune. And from a care coordination perspective, those I also consider direct care workers. And in a manner of speaking, we continue to struggle to hire those folks. Typically, they're 4-year degree social workers. And there's a lot of competition for those folks. But what we're seeing, interestingly enough, is a lot of people with clinical backgrounds. And I don't know if that means that other parts of our safety net programs are contracting, which is then causing those folks to be looking for work in other parts of the system. Not sure, just curious about it.
Do you know what the current wait list or a general wait list is for Section 63 state-funded home-based care?
I do not know. That would be a state question for ODES. They don't share that with us.
Thank you.
I can jump in. I think to Michael's point, we've seen the needle shift a little bit. We have had some facilities successful in at least hiring their own to eliminate the contract workers, mostly in the CNA realm. So that's been exciting to see. But our newer buildings, which are quite large, still hover around 1,000 or more hours of contract labor. So as of right now, North Country has about 7 available beds, staffed available beds. And I think Angela has said there's about 14 statewide. So.
And that's nursing home level of care?
Nursing home level of care. Yeah.
So 14 available staffed beds statewide.
Right.
And you have 7 of them. Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm. Any other, Stephanie?
I can jump in here with the, of course, from the essential care worker standpoint, the lack of adequate wages. Many individuals are working, as I'm sure all of you know, 2, sometimes 3 jobs, which is making it also difficult to hire people for staffing schedules, because the pool of people that we're getting in are working so many other jobs or so many other hours that they have very minimal availability. So really trying to avoid the piecemealing of the schedules where you hire someone just for 12 hours here and another 8 hours here. It's really, of course, we always have those per diem people. But it makes it frustrating on the employer side as well as the employee side. Well, I want to work, but I only have these hours available. So that it's making it all the more challenging to hire staff and then for staff to be hired.
I am working. I'm working several jobs, so
That's right. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a tough one.
And it's also, that also leads me as an employer standpoint, is I'm getting somebody who's just worked a 12-hour shift, and they're going to work another 12-hour shift before going back to work for another 12-hour shift. So where is the sleep pattern falling for these people? And if you have somebody that's working a 24 or 36-hour shift, how safely can they support the individual, and how safe can it be for the staff personally, themselves as well? And I always think about those people who are driving, from one shift to the other, and I've had several people call and say, oh, I can't make it because I've been in a car accident. And are those accidents because they're too tired, or just distracted trying to get from one job to the other? It's very unsafe all the way around.
Hmm. Thank you for adding that, Stephanie.
Sure.
And Kim, I don't think you have a formal, do you have a formal presentation later? So do you have any updates you want to offer?
We don't have any updates this time. Thanks.
Wow. Okay. And Jamie, I know we're going to hear from you shortly. So I think the other agenda item is any updates on appointments of legislators. And do you have information about that, Erica?
I do not.
No. Okay. So I had suggested, I think we've been waiting for you all, so maybe I'll just put that back on you, your legislative liaison. That's when Angie out was gonna be talking with getting those appointments.
That I think Erica sent out a message maybe Friday. The last I think that we'd had last discussion that I had with Angie, she had drafted a couple letters for the chairs to send out.
Okay.
And that was in April.
I will. Okay. Thank you
No problem.
for that. I missed that. And I will find them and we will do that. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you. Not at all confusing. All right. One more update. How is the baby? Did everything come out okay?
Adorable.
Yeah.
She's fantastic and healthy.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Does she have a name?
She does. It's Louisa Evelyn Jean.
Oh,
Nice.
Lovely.
Beautiful.
Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so now we've got a public comment session. We haven't done much except for updates, but we can certainly offer public comment at this point, and particularly if there's someone in the audience, and I know we do have a few people, if there's anything you would like to add to the current state of where we are in relation to updates in this workforce, feel free to raise your hand and Eric will bring you into the webinar. I don't see any. Do you, Erica? All right. So we will move on to our next agenda item, which is the Essential Care Partnership update. And I think we're going to bring Brenda in. Is that right?
Yes, and she should be up as a there. Yes, she is.
All right, Brenda, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself and sharing updates in relation to the Essential Care
happy to.
Workforce Partnership. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, I'm Brenda Peluso, and I am the coordinator for Maine's Essential Care and Support Workforce Partnership. And I've been in this role for about a year now. And so since the last time I was with you all, I did share with you that the Speaker of the House had put in an omnibus bill. It was LD 1932, but because of everything that was going on in the session and it came out so late, we opted to have it carried over to the next the short session, and without a public hearing. But as a reminder, that omnibus bill had six parts in it, and two of them were from this body. The first one was to expand the membership of the committee to ensure stakeholders were represented more fully from personal care agencies and from the long-term care ombudsman program. And then the second piece was to fund the Maine Health Data Organization to study and figure out how to best measure the gap in care so we have better data to make informed decisions And that bill, that piece of the bill, luckily, is similar to what is in LD 977, which did pass out of both chambers and is sitting on the appropriations table. So what we are doing now, the partnership, our final push is to work to promote three items, and those are to fully restore the COLAs, which you heard people already speak about how not having these cost of living adjustments have been a hardship. Fund LD 977, so to get that off the table and get that going, and to also ensure that any changes that were present in the governor's proposed budget do not show up in any supplemental funding bill. Those changes really gutted the 2021 law that really set the a not unanimously championed Maine Care rate setting system. So we do have a press conference on Thursday, June 5th, at 1 p.m. And the speaker and Representative Jennifer Poirier are going to be leading it off. And we're going to have 3 or 4 other people representing family members or direct care workers speaking at that. We'll have a lot of members of the direct partnership there, just learning, getting information about what we're asking for folks to do and how we can help move the agenda forward. So we do have some one-pagers and things like that, and we'll be just talking to everybody we can. We're also doing a lot of letters to the editor from family members and workers, to local and regional publications. We're planning some op-eds for the major papers and doing a bunch of calls to action and some social media stuff. So that's our plan for now to the end of the session. And obviously, we'll be taking up the speaker's bill next session.
Or there's a public hearing maybe that's going to happen this year?
Unknown, yes.
Unknown, okay, good.
There may be a public hearing. What we're hearing is that they're scheduling public hearings for bills that are being carried over in the off season. So will it be heard in December, November? We don't know. That's that piece not clear about. But we'll keep you posted.
Great. Any questions from any members of the committee?
I have a question. I know some of the recommendations in that bill, like Ben Hawkins and I participated in the technology portion of it, and then there's some other things. Is there any activity on those topics, I guess, for lack of a better thing, outside of the omnibus bill?
Yeah. So over the summer, the plan is to sort of get the bands back together and figure out how non-legislatively we can start moving some of those recommendations forward. And that's kind of where we are. We've been sort of all consumed right now by the legislative session. But I know, yeah. So we've been working with other staff too, other leadership team members of the partnership to figure out how we're going to move this stuff forward. So the co-chairs should be hearing from us within a couple of weeks, I would think, about how to keep moving this stuff forward.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Other questions for Brenda? Okay. Thank you, Brenda.
Of course.
And I think we are next going to hear from Jaime, if I'm correct about that, and Brenda about the direct service worker curriculum and credentialing, which is one of the 3 working groups.
Thanks, Jess. I know a lot of these things are tongue twisters. I don't have a lot of updates on the core curriculum. Last time we were together, I gave a presentation that kind of walked through the why behind the what and all of the pieces that went into developing the DSW course, so the core curriculum. It's it's completed. It is housed in the USM LMS system, so it is ready to be utilized, other than we're waiting for Rule to open so that we can make some amendments and roll out the curriculum to Maine Care funded agencies. In the meantime, you know, you've all been very involved in reviewing the curriculum and some of the excitement behind getting the best practice out to everyone so that they're getting relevant content. We did decide to roll out a targeted pilot to private pay agencies so that we could get some more feedback, primarily on the live portion of the curriculum. So the entire DSW course is about 12 hours online asynchronous learning, and then 8 hours of live skills demonstration. And so we've started a pilot. We've enrolled, there's about 100 learners that are going through the pilot now. And we specifically, obviously, without being able to be reimbursed for the training for Maine Care clients, the private pay agencies are the ones that are participating. They also have some deadlines to meet for the PCA rule and licensure. So the pilot for these 100 learners goes from June 1st to August 15th so that we can meet that PCA deadline for them and really help kind of get them through the transition. It's a whole new process for them. The DSP add-on to the core curriculum is currently under development, and most likely will be ready for your viewing pleasures. So really, probably by the end of summer, there will be many opportunities to review and provide feedback. Very similar process to what we did for the DSW, you know, feedback and listening sessions and all of those components. But yeah, that's pretty much what I have for updates on the core curriculum and the DSW course. Any questions on that? I know Brenda's gonna come up on the tail end of that.
Any questions for Jaime?
A question. At one point, and it might have been before you were working on it, there was the thought that the curriculum was going to be housed on the state's to be determined learning management system that was going out for bid. So is it moved now to a different platform, or is that temporary, or?
The state platform is not ready for external users yet.
Okay.
So this is a transition. So once the state LMS is ready for external users, we will be able to migrate that data from the other USM LMS system into the states.
Great.
And I have two. I have a specific question. When you were saying it's on hold, I think I heard you say waiting for a rule change, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
for section, I think it's 19, and there's another section. It specifically lists the PSS curriculum as being 50 hours of training. This is down to 20 because we've taken the most relevant content. We want to make it more efficient and get more people into the workforce in a more efficient manner and just give them the training that they need to actually be, you know, feel like they have the right tools to get into the workforce. So.
And so can you just give me just a little bit, or us a little bit more about where the rule change is and how long that's likely, like what the timeline is for that?
That is part of what we don't know. So in order to make those changes, there's a process through OMS that they determine their priority for rules that open and then what those amendments look like. So at this point, we are working with them to figure out what that timeline looks like and what their priorities are, but we don't have any definitive timeline for that yet.
Last question for me. Is there any movement afoot to begin to integrate BHPs, behavioral health professionals?
I mean, there's obviously definitely lots of conversations around that. And I think the next step for that is crosswalking, obviously, whatever regulations need to be upheld for training, and looking at, we've shared with OBH our content and what the modules look like and what components are into the competencies. So, that is definitely in OBH's timeline. They've got, of course, as everyone has many competing priorities, but definitely is on the radar.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions for Jaime based on anything I asked? All right, Brenda, I think you're back up.
Yes, thank you. That was helpful, Jaime. So we've had a couple of meetings, the co-chairs of that curriculum working group with a lot of the folks at DHHS who are engaged in this curriculum development. And the first meeting, the department shared what they'd been doing. And then the second meeting, we shared our discussions, the recommendations from our working group, the curriculum and training working group. And I thought we had a really good discussion about their goals and how they align really well with ours. We got into a little bit just, sort of the differences in perception that, the department and the providers had, and how we were really interested in sort of bridging that gap and making sure that the providers were on board and understood what the department was doing and how, that whole marketing thing where if you put out a notice and people miss it because everybody's head down, and how we can amplify the work of the department and make sure we're getting good input both ways. And we also talked, PHI is a member of the partnership. They're a national group. And you guys have probably heard from Jake at PHI. Jake shared that the focus for their next several years is universal and portable credentialing. So they're very interested in learning more about what our state is doing and being able to share what they're learning from around the country as well. So we decided that our next meeting with the people working on the curriculum will be this summer sometime after the legislature has given us a little bit of space. And that we've already started, they reached out to the partnership to disseminate some information about this pilot group. And I think, just beginning to really start to figure out how we can help each other. So that's been good.
Thank you. Any questions for Brenda? Hearing none.
Well, I have
Oh,
sorry. Can I
no.
go back before Brenda leaves to the data bill? And so lucky on us, right? That bill was put in, and so I think you said it passed the two committees, and no.
Both
Anyways,
chambers.
can you re-explain the status of it, and is there a fiscal note associated with it? And do we have any temperature in the room of where that might go?
So it did pass both chambers. I think it got
Okay.
bipartisan support. I haven't seen the votes yet. But it's sitting on the appropriations table. It has a fiscal note of around 82,000, depending on how you read it. There's some federal match. There's some, yeah, okay. No?
It's about, I don't know what it is, 18,000, 16,000, 13,000. It's a very small fiscal
When
note.
all is said and done, and
The rest of it's federal, right? It's only the general fund portion is very, very small.
Yeah, the general fund is 18.
Okay.
Yeah,
And that's
18
all
something.
that's all we worry
That's
about.
all we need to worry about? Okay, good. It's yeah. Okay. So so with that, it should be I think we've been speaking with the members of AFA and they seem to understand. And with it being a small fiscal note, we're hopeful. And we also have a data group, because I was part of a planning committee with the Maine Health Access Fund and Foundation, and they're bringing together lots of data folks, including the Karen Lee. Yes, sorry. to just talk about what we need, what kind of data we need to collect to be able to make better decisions around this direct care workforce and healthcare in general. And so the bill focuses on the direct care workforce and available data. And so these wraparounds might help with unavailable data or other things that are not included in this bill. So we'll be pushing that, working on that too, and keep you guys posted.
So given our duties and responsibilities as this committee, is there anything, I mean, this seems like a very key to what we have struggled with for the past couple of years, is this care gap. Is there anything as a committee that we could do to support or explain our position on the legislation, or and what could that be? And I'm sort of opening that up to anyone.
Yeah, I would propose that we actually do a letter, because it was our primary recommendation in both of our last two reports, that we send a letter to the chairs of, to all the members of the Appropriations Committee, lifting up that this is a primary recommendation, because we are able, as I mentioned at the beginning, to make recommendations to the legislature directly, and just lift up that this was a priority of ours, and encourage them to make sure that this is enacted now. Timeliness is the issue, right? This isn't generating the gap report. I want to be really, really clear about this. This is having the Maine Health Data Organization identify all available data across all state agencies related to the gap, the care gap, and putting together what they believe would be a pathway forward of compiling that data to understand the current care gap that could be measured year after year, and how much that would cost to create. And so it's really important to have this happen now and not wait for another year, because we missed our opportunity last year. It died on the table, died in the House last year. So here we have this opportunity again. Want them to act on it, and so that we can have them come back, and it requires them to come back the beginning of next session and share that information, so that we can create a bill that would then say, please generate this care gap report, and we would dedicate, probably, if it were, now this is just my inside baseball view, right? Would probably be one-time funding, and because that's what we're going to play with for a while, I think, based on where we are financially. But that's okay, right? You get you start here, and you find out what that's going to cost, and then you do the report, pay for that, and then you argue about whether you need to do that year after year. That's just my take on it. But I think we should send a letter to the committee if there was support for that.
Yeah, and I guess, to me, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I think it comes in at such a low cost. It seems, I mean, in my eyes, it seems like a no-brainer to move this forward. So I'm hoping it gets that traction and energy. Thanks.
Do you want to make a motion that we do that?
Oh, do we need a motion? Do we need a vote? Okay.
We probably should.
I make them. I don't even know. Do we have a quorum? That's a good question.
7. Yes, we do.
Okay. I make a motion that the essential support worker advisory committee send a letter to the members of the AFA committee, supporting the bill that directs the Maine Health Data Organization to compile a report on how to collect data on the wage gap, care gap. Something such as that.
Say that 5 times fast now.
No. You have to say it, Michael.
I'll second that.
Great. Friendly amendment would be just that we lift up our language in our report that recommends this happen and encourage them to act in a timely manner to make that happen.
So supported. Yes.
Great. And so any discussion about that? All right. Anyone who's in favor, please raise your hand. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? Thank you. I knew the answer, but had to ask. All right, thank you. So I will draft that and send that off. Thank you. And we'll share a copy with you all. And then the final agenda item that we have also involves you, Jamie, and something very, very fun that's happened that you are going to share with us. Thanks to our worker committee and the long-term care ombudsman office. And DOL, of course.
It is very exciting, and it's a lovely positive note. Can you see the screen that has
We can. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Now let's make sure I can advance. Okay. So the Careers with Purpose campaign, little background is the Careers with Purpose campaign really grew out of the Caring for Me campaign, which was a marketing campaign that really focused on individuals receiving care. And, we had some great lessons that we saw from that campaign and really navigated into this Careers with Purpose, focusing on recruiting and sharing personal stories of the direct care workforce. Definitely part of the success of both campaigns has been, the paid advertisements, the social media, the engagement, covering all counties of the state, and really saw a lot more engagement in those platforms with themes of compassion. Some of the opportunities that came out of Caring for Me were to leverage community partners, such as our ombudsman program, and our advisory committee is a great example of the collaboration that we've used in the Careers with Purpose campaign. We've been able to highlight work-life balance and looking at workers from targeting different audiences. So maybe new retirees or new Mainers, and really looking at how can we bridge some of those gaps and people that can only work a few hours a day, really highlighting some of those stories. The campaign itself, the website received over 203,000 views, very similar to the Caring for Me campaign. It links with DOL and looking at career training for me, healthcare training for me, and the Career Center consultants. And the initial focus was on home and community-based services. And we obviously had some really great stories to share there. So our friends at OBH wanted to add some highlights for behavioral health roles. So you'll see, it's June now, you'll see some new ads this month coming out that target some of those mental health and behavioral health careers like MHRT and CADC and LADC. So that's another exciting component of it. But really what I wanted to highlight here today is elevating the voice of our workers, right? So we heard loud and clear from our advisory council that they want people to understand what it is that they do and how they find joy in what they do, and really elevate their profession and the great things that they do. So like you said, the Department of Labor, the Ombudsman Program, the Advisory Council, and DHHS, we worked together to get some great videos and content to highlight these roles. And they are housed in multiple areas. They're obviously on the Careers with Purpose webpage. And the Ombudsman created a YouTube channel to house the videos as well. And then, of course, you have it on your Essential Workforce blog. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to at least watch one of them. They're about 2 minutes. And then I'll show how we're also using them in other campaign ads, because they are kind of long. So, they not something that you can just show on a social media platform. Can you see the ombudsman? Okay.
We can.
Perfect. Thank you.
You might want to maximize it if you can.
Yes.
As a CNA, I take care of all their activities.
Oops. Sorry. Didn't want to ask.
And put your sound all the way up if it's not.
Meals,
Yes.
things to do for themselves. Players, the relationships that you build with the people that you meet. That is my favorite thing about my job. John Palmer is a phenomenal painter. One of my favorite things is to just watch him paint. Wow. He does a wonderful splatter paint, so I love seeing it all over him and helping clean him up as well. So I usually work 6 to 2 in the morning. I start by getting a report from my coworkers, grabbing all my supplies, make sure I have everything I need to do my job. I wash my residents, brush their hair, brush their teeth, put clothes on them for breakfast. After breakfast, it's pretty smooth from there. You learn everything about these people. But if they decline, nobody else sees it the way that you do. You just understand their habits. When we get to lunch, I serve everybody's tray, get their drinks, silverware. And then after lunch, start doing my rounds on everybody that I change first thing this week. Sometimes I take vital signs for my nurse, blood pressure, oxygen, respirations, pulse, and temperature. These people are not just patients to me. They had lives before this. They built a whole career for themselves, and they know that I'm going to do the best that I can for them and make sure all their needs are met. That's the main reason why I chose my career. I want to wake up every day and know that what I'm doing is worth something, that I'm being a good person, that I'm taking care of people and making a difference in somebody's life.
So there are 3 videos that highlight different roles: the direct support professional, the CNA, and the personal support specialist. And they're all wonderful, just like that. It's very heartwarming. It shows some of the tasks that they do, but you really they did a wonderful job just expressing themselves and showing their caring nature in their roles. And Angie, of course, was a huge component of working on these, and she was able to see the finalized products before she went on maternity leave. So that was a win for her, for us to be able to get it done before she went out. And so, like I said, the videos are hosted in multiple areas. And, we try to navigate some of our social media campaign will now, navigate people towards those videos, the full length videos. But then I also just wanted to show, and hopefully this one works as well. This is an example of another ad that will come out that takes snippets of the full version of the video that will then be on social media and on, LinkedIn and Facebook. And
I enjoy coming to work every day. Yeah. I respect him, and then he respects me as well. Yeah. I like you. I like it too. He's always very excited seeing me every day, so I can't imagine a day without him. He's a part of my family. I treat him like my family, and he takes me as his family. So yeah, I look forward to it every day.
so, yeah, it's very heartwarming. So the initial leg of the campaign ends at the end of June. So the HCBS roles, there will be no new content. However, the website will remain up and functioning through at least December. And working with Broadreach, they are going to provide a repository of all of the materials that they've created, with white labeled is what they call it. They'll take their branding off of it so that we can then use those as recruitment tools and continuing to elevate the voice of our direct service workers in different ways in the future. The website will be staying up because there is a new campaign starting in July that is focused on recruitment outside of Maine for rural healthcare providers. So you'll start seeing some of that content in July.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Jaime? I'll just say, I think this is just a great, really nicely done, and a nice team effort. So really appreciative to all of the partners who did this. So it's terrific to see. And I think as you are hearing, there's movement in the workforce, which is a good thing. So,
I think they're well done too. I'd like to just add that I think people, sometimes we use terminology that we all know, like PSA and PCA and all these different terminologies, but someone really explaining the work and what the work means and what it looks like, I think is much more powerful. So great job.
Agreed. Thank you.
And hopefully, I'll just say, we'll find a solution to the problem, which is not having enough funding. Because right, the more we hire, the more we serve, the more we spend, the less we've budgeted for the cyclical problem that we're in right now, which really the speaker's bill, one component of the speaker's bill tries to fix. But we really are I would say, this process and the essential support workforce partnership between the two have really helped, I think, all of us see that we have this big systems problem in relation to that payment. That the more we grow the workforce, which we really need to do because we've got such a big care gap, the more challenges we have with deficits when we move into a deficit spending situation. And so these are big issues that are only going to be solved with us, continuing to shine a light on. We all agree, right, that we want to make sure people have access to the care they need, and it's why we've been doing all of this work. And then to have it cause problems unexpectedly or that are unintentional, that's a real problem. So we will keep moving on. So now is a time for public comment. We do have still a few folks in the room. So if you are interested in commenting on any of the presentations that just occurred, please raise your hand and Erica will move you in to be able to ask your question or share your information. I don't see any hands raised. To you, Erica? Great. No, oh, man. So I think that is the end of our business for today. Is there other business that anyone would like to lift up? Do I get a bonus for getting us out in an hour? All right. If you wouldn't mind, the only thing I will ask is, so we are off until September. PHI, by the way, one of the reasons this meeting is so short is that we had asked PHI if they could come and do a presentation, but Jake was off this week, so was not able to do that. And so we will be teeing up a presentation from PHI in September about some of the I actually went to the American Society on Aging conference, and I met Jake in person and got to give him a hug because I've been working with him for 3 years, so it's nice to actually meet him. But I heard a presentation about 3 other states and the work they are doing to really sort of change things up, and it made me like a little jealous about the way other states have been able to do it. And I will tell you this part: while I had some jealousy, there was also no answer about how this was going to be sustained in relation to funding. So, you know, like the problems are the same everywhere, right? We're all coming to different solutions, but the problem still remains at the end of the day that we need to figure out how to adequately fund this workforce big picture long term. And I think we're just going to have to keep having these conversations until we figure that out. So I appreciate your continued participation in the committee. But I did want to say, if there's something specific that you would love to see covered and or presented or discussed in September, please share that information with me, with Catherine, Erica, anyone. We'll make sure it gets onto the agenda. So thank you all and have a great day.
Thanks, Jess. Have a good summer, folks.
Yes, have a great summer.
It's